All right, today's video, we're going to talk about forgiveness. And this process is all about forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person. A lot of people say, oh, I've forgiven that person. And they really may have forgiven them. But if something happens and inside you, there's a negative charge that is brought to the surface from that person, you haven't truly forgiven them. Okay? And it's for you to look inside. Why am I still angry at this person? What is this here to teach me? What is this mirroring back at me? You know, maybe it's an aspect of yourself that they're showing you exists, and it needs to come up through your cellular memory and out to be released. Not up and then suppressed. It's up, released, and out. We don't want to carry this in our bodies anymore. And it's certainly where we're going, we can't carry it with us anymore. So if you want to ascend and you really want to go on this spiritual journey, we have to break away from that thought process of it's not okay to express how we're feeling. It's not okay to feel these emotions because this is the only way that you're going to get through it. And I'm going to be completely honest, it's not an easy process, but it can be done easily with tools. Like, I didn't really have tools when I was going through this. I was just like figuring it out. All of a sudden, you know, I'm like, what is going on? I couldn't stop crying. I was kind of receiving all this information and downloads, which I'm going to talk about. I actually think some of those downloads were me bumping into different people's thought forms, other people's dreams. They weren't even downloads, which had me really confused as to some things that I was holding on to. But there were more clues along the way. So I wanted the forgiveness. There were some things that I had learned in this process, and it talks about the shadow side and projections and how we think that we can be really angry at somebody and hold this in and spew all these hurtful things at them, and they're not going to run into those thought forms eventually. Well, you can always correct a wrong, so you can go back and undo the damage that you've done. You can forgive yourself and forgive the other person. Really, really important. So while I was going through this, there were some things that I had to learn, and some were things that, you know, my mom didn't learn yet. And then I realized her mom had a similar issue with her sisters, and more that I would work with my clients, I started asking, is there a pattern? You know, maybe you don't get along with one of your siblings, and maybe your mom or dad had a similar issue, and they were like, oh yeah, totally. Well, the reason this keeps happening is because nobody's learned to lead with love, compassion, and understanding. So while I was going through my healing process, there was stupid thing I was like mad at my little sister for, but I learned I just want to let that go, and I don't want to hold that. I would tell my clients to let it go, and if my little sister was my client, I would tell her, you know, just let it go. Like, however, you know, that person chooses to react to the situation is on them, but how you choose to hold on to it is for you. So when I really sat down with my little sister and said, look, you know, I love you. I let this go a long time ago. You know, I'm even trying to help you, but you can't hear me. Why is that? You know, and here she was like waiting for me to tell her, I forgive you, now forgive yourself. But how silly is that? How silly does it have to be that we need to wait for somebody else to say, hey, I forgive you, now you can? Like, no, like, this is really about going inside, and you can tell them, you know, I'm really sorry. In fact, I went through this, again, not realizing I did this. I wrote all my friends cards, and I just kind of told them what they meant to me. And looking back, thinking, you know, I could have been a better friend here. I could have been a better friend here. And so I wrote them all these cards, and I just said, you know, you mean so much to me, and I'm sorry in these areas where I felt like I could have been a better friend to you. And I love you dearly. And they knew, my friends know, I love them. I love them beyond, right? Like, my intention is always well meaning and good, and sometimes you're lost in different situations and you don't understand, or you're just trying to stay afloat, and being there for somebody else when you're about to drown is really, really hard. So I get all aspects because I've been on all spectrums, and that's a really big thing too, to ask yourself. Here we are judging, all these people, but if you're really honest with yourself, are you totally perfect? No. We've all been in these situations where we could have done better, and that is where the real work starts to come in. Where can I be a better person than I was yesterday? So another one, in forgiving myself, I kept hearing messages that I needed to forgive my son's father. And I thought, I have. What more do you need me to do? I've completely, forgiven him. And I was in meditation, and I realized the person I wasn't forgiving was myself. And the reason I wasn't forgiving myself was because I could see how all that anger and hate and negativity I had projected onto him throughout all the years not only was terrible to do to him, even if I felt justified in doing what I was doing, that energy gets transformed and passed down to our kids. And I could see it on my son's shoulders. Like, that is parts of the shadow side that he was carrying. And it was me. So as a mother, here I am wanting nothing but the best for my child. And my own energy field and thoughts and emotions were literally placing all that negativity onto my son's shoulders. And says, one day when you are growing up in a man, you too are going to go through this negative stuff because your mom and dad didn't learn these lessons. How unfair. Now, I had my mom's shadow side, and I've been pushing shit off all this time, not realizing what exactly was going on. But I get it now, so I have been in the process of undoing all the damage that I've been done, paying attention to where he's coming up in his road, because he's following my and his father's divine blueprint. He's following our energetic patterns, and anything that I can do to help him jump around override old patterns. What is coming up for you? What is this? And that's how I can help him navigate his way through it and correct a wrong. So just so you know, I went most of my son's life not talking to his father because I was really hurt, but I didn't realize at the time laws of attraction, and I didn't realize how my own anger was actually contributing to the problem. So every time I kept saying, why do you keep hurting my son? He kept hurting, he kept doing it. But that's because I was giving my attention to the problem, not the solution. So, months ago, I actually sat down with my son and his father, and I did a healing meditation with them. And I explained to him how all of this works, and he was like, wow, I've never felt so calm in my body. Like, this is really something and really amazing. And my son was seeing, because, what was happening, and my message for him was, you're not your mistakes. You're not. We've all done something wrong. But and then we were taught to look outside of ourselves. So you go from guy or girl to thing to thing to thing, right? Instead of inside, because we were not taught that. So that's my job, is to teach you how to go inside, to give you all the tools that you need. Next, we're going to talk about a trigger. All right.